Roger Langham.
Thank you, Mayor and Mayor Fisher and Rising Sun Commissioners and officials. I appreciate the opportunity for us to have an open session here for public comment. I live on Stevens Road. My land borders the Rising Sun town limits. I've lived in Rising Sun for 25 years. I've seen a good number of things, that I'd like to comment on, but, I'm going to make a few comments here. First of things is, I don't stand here before you just for the sake of complaining that McDonald's restaurants and other businesses are not doing enough to curb litter and loitering around Rising Sun. But why should I have to ask? These problems are obvious. I would hope Rising Sun town officials, commissioners, and administrators were proactive enough to control litter and improve the image of Rising Sun as they have major priorities here. Rising Sun has litter problems because no ordinance that I'm aware of compels these trash-generating merchants to empty their garbage cans until those cans are overflowing and stinking. We even had an instance at the Sunoco where they didn't even have trash cans by the pumps. Not that I use them, but other people just throw stuff on the ground. Well, we need ordinance and laws around here with some teeth to make these merchants be better neighbors. It's a merchant's own responsibility to help improve their community and not trash it. There should be improvement in those areas. The last administrations felt it was more important to accommodate developers who refused to pay their fair share. Citizens of Rising Sun found grass was never greener on the other side as promised. Funny how builders say they built all this by themselves when they would build nothing if it were not for the local government making it possible. These plans did not work. Just count your empty storefronts in Rising Sun. Essentially, at Rising Sun Town Hall, we have expectations of open and fair government, but we have problems since trash keeps getting deeper at Town Hall. This courtesy from previous administrations who were voted out. Rising Sun voters keep voting out the trash, but trash keeps coming back. You know who I'm talking about? They and their followers always cheering for each other no matter what was said. This group has a remarkable resiliency to keep on patting themselves in the back about how they took care of the trash while serving in office, but actually the previous administration was too busy getting entertained by corporations seeking an advantage over the interests of Rising Sun taxpayers instead of making Rising Sun a better place for existing residents. I find it no surprise and absolutely downright disrespectful to every Rising Sun resident at a town workshop 2 weeks ago that unprofessional acts and drama from former town officials Mummy and Pearson occurred as neither of them could control themselves to wait until the public comment period. They made a lot of unsubstantiated claims, and it seems like it's all directed at Mayor Fisher. The last administration had no fiscal responsibilities, but somehow fashioned themselves fiscal conservatives. They blew your money on a new town logo, maybe $5,000 or more, I'm not sure. Spent $2,500 on a groundbreaking ceremony. I always thought turning over a shovel of dirt was free. They spent $50,000 on lawyers to convict a town official of stealing $5,000. Made apparently verbal commitments to developers who now sue Rising Sun for millions. And I have a question about a banner program where light poles, banners on light poles costing thousands don't appear to gain any corporate sponsor. And Cronenberger said that this program would pay for itself. I don't understand that. I would like a report on the banner program. I'm also tired of hearing how we must accept Mummy, Pearson, and Cox's big-ticket solutions for sewer and water without any debate. Well, I'm glad we had some tonight. We had a nice presentation. Some of it made some sense. We're already living with that group's terrible record-keeping, poor decisions, attempts to minimize opposing opinions at town hall meetings. Can't this group get constructive about open and fair government? Those people and protesters are given a black eye to Rising Sun, and no progress gets made. The sewer plant should be up and running by now, instead it's still polluting the Chesapeake Bay. Let me give you an example of how Rising Sun gets a bad rap. Many people don't vote locally because most believe Rising Sun election day is in November, not May or June. Voting in spring is logistically impossible for most, and time off is an issue for others. Many people have a hard time attending regular special planning, zoning, and appeals meetings, and it is much more difficult to attend meetings when some meetings were abruptly scheduled in the past. One such planning and zoning meeting resulted in an investigation by the State of Maryland Open Meetings Compliance Board, who wrote an opinion that Rising Sun advertised meeting notice was legally defective. And I'd be very happy to share that document with anyone who wants to see it. Officials here have not been considerate of citizen testimonies, even making very hasty approvals for Maple Heights Apartments when really this was a done deal long before any public meeting was scheduled. Much like tonight, it seems like kind of a railroading. The meetings were nothing but a formality. They were meetings about making these apartments 3 stories high or trying to make them fit on a lot too small. Big bluff. Some meetings were about grants, funding water and sewer for Maple Heights, but I've never received copies of most of those meeting minutes, even when I requested them a few years back. And also, I could not find from Bonenberger, couldn't tell me what was purchased with Rising Sun credit cards when they made those inquiries. From records I obtained through the Freedom of Information Act, Rising Sun paid Cox, Mommy, and Pearson for attending many more meetings and mileage for which there are no minutes available. So what exactly did Rising Sun pay them for? What was discussed and with who? I think if no meetings exist, then Rising Sun officials should not be paid for attending meetings. Let approval was really discussed at the meetings and that they even attended them. There's no secrets need to be kept from people in town. Since Maple Heights were approved, there have been multiple accidents at Maple Heights Drive and 273. I think, or do you think the developer will pay to improve that intersection or install a light once he gets the approval to build 60 more tenements in there? He will not, because the developer will say he's paid enough, but he enjoys a tax shelter while counting federally guaranteed rental income, for a lot of the Maple Heights apartment people that travel a long distance to work. There's no jobs in Rising Sun to speak of. The result of these approvals works on the minds and pocketbooks of long-term Rising Sun taxpayers who got no new jobs, no big employer, a tougher job market locally, traffic congestion, sewer moratorium, or police activity, and a $100 million lawsuit brought by a developer. Some developers are still mad because developer George Beer got the last 78 connections before the moratorium. George Beer and I have known each other since my neighbors and I met him back several years ago at Rising Sun town meetings. This was after we found our apartments were planned for a pasture behind our homes on a somewhat wet piece of property. Most never saw one sign posted, although I do believe the signs were really there. I thought the road was a private driveway, and that's where more than a tenth of a mile down that driveway off 273, the customary sheet on a stick of paper was posted about a town meeting that the public was largely unaware of until after the fact when this project got approved and made headlines. When I addressed Town Hall during Judy Cox's regime about the then proposed apartments, my concerns were mostly dismissed, but generally Rising Sun officials were indignant about the whole thing. The developer George Beer was very insulting, called our group prejudiced. He escalated his intimidations after I became one of several plaintiffs against Mayor Cox and the town of Rising Sun, who approved 5 variances and a special exception for Mr. Beer. Things were hotly contested at town meetings when commissioners were not sympathetic to us. Then developer Beer himself must have had me followed to the home of my boss at my new job. A couple of days later, my boss told me Beer called their house and having never met him before, he spoke to her husband, asking a month's small talk about the township they both reside in, but live miles apart, was to ask my wife and I to stop our legal action. Beer even took Mr. Quinn out for lunch. I even spoke with Mr. Quinn, who happens to be a retired attorney, and afterwards we felt we should not drop our case until the last day possible. And my wife and I had no plans to drop that lawsuit against the town of Rising Sun because the community I started, Friends of Rising Sun, put together popular and successful fundraisers paying almost the entire legal cost for every plaintiff. She and I were last plaintiff keeping the suit alive when I got forced out of Friends of Rising Sun by several members, some sitting here today, who I said I missed too many meetings, but I missed 2. The group was at that time angrily demanding by nasty emails that as a member of Friends of Rising Sun, I must abandon my rights and excuse myself from a lawsuit against the town of Rising Sun.
Roger, your time.
Is, well, we'll leave it there. Next meeting, I'll continue my letter.
Okay. Thank you very much, Paul.
May we have a copy of your
I will
dissertation?
forward it to you.
Thank you.
Okay.